a mini-series created by Guillermo del Toro brought to us 8 different episodes of terrifying horror. If you've watched the series, then you know that each episode tells a different nightmarish story. This is expected, of course, for an anthology series. Anyways, we can only presume that the fact that each episode tells different stories warrants a comparison between each one. Now, let's rank each of the 8 episodes of Cabinet of Curiosities. Firstly, what are the top 3 scariest episodes of Cabinet of Curiosities? In third place, we have The Viewing. The story revolves around an elderly, affluent guy who meets 4 strangers who are each professional in their own fields. It's a great episode. Of all the episodes in the series, it resembles The Twilight Zone the most. It's interesting, but boring in the beginning, and it doesn't get spooky until the final 15 minutes. However, the episode's final few seconds do have some powerful jump scares. The final monster is the most terrifying and visually stunning of the bunch, but there wasn't enough of it to give it a higher ranking. Although it contains the series' most gripping plot, it chooses when to frighten its viewers. Graveyard Rats comes in second place. The story revolves around a grave robber who uses treasures taken from the dead to pay off his debts. Rodents, on the other hand, thwart his schemes and land him in serious danger. This episode was quite spooky mentally. The audience will be disturbed by the first half's depictions of some dead bodies and one scene with numerous rats. Mason spends the second half of the episode crawling through underground tunnels. Hence, the episode heavily relies on the claustrophobia-inducing modern horror cliche. The audience will squirm at the numerous repulsive images of the rats that are shown in this sequence. The scariest episode is the Autopsy. In this episode, a police officer and a coroner investigate an explosion that occurred in a mineshaft. This is an excellent episode with more creepy, gradual horrors. The tale takes some time to establish itself and gets off to a fairly slow start. It really takes off when the coroner is by itself and people are looking at the bodies. The tension that is built as Carl is chopping up the deceased miners is effective. The scene where Carl had to slash his eyes, ear, and neck to disassemble himself was perhaps the greatest part of the episode. Although the extraterrestrial plot was a little dull and unnerving, there are still certain moments that would make viewers cover their eyes and wince. Ranking the episodes of Cabinet of Curiosities. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, a new Netflix anthology of horror stories, offers viewers an opportunity to explore 8 separate tales of terror. Even the creators of the series are aware that because of the variety of alternatives offered, viewers may favor some over others. In all honesty, there are some Cabinet of Curiosities episodes that we do prefer to others. Because of this, we're able to list our top 8 episodes in order of least to most favorite. Coming in 8th place is Dreams in the Witch House. Dreams in the Witch House is difficult to classify as the worst episode because it's actually not bad by any means. It's just average and crammed with material. One would have great hopes for any adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft, the master of horror, but the truth is that this short story from 1933 is a poor fit for a visual medium. Fortunately, the lead character Walter Gilman's biography is expanded by episode writer Mika Watkins to include more subjective and human motives, but in doing so, it renders the narrative needlessly drawn out and discursive. However, to the episode's credit, the monster design is excellent, especially that of the zombie witch, Keziah Mason. In 7th place, we have Lot 36. Perhaps the amazing monster designs in Cabinet of Curiosities are what hold up some episodes. For Lot 36, tentacly possessed demon woman Dottie is the cabinet creature we would compare to Keziah Mason in terms of quality. However, we believe that these 2 episodes are easily the poorest of the group, even though it is one of the shorter episodes. Lot 36 lacks enough original ideas to last the entire runtime. Because Tim Blake Nelson is the best, he effortlessly builds a fully realized character in the form of Nick Appleton, but the plot only knows how to kill him. Nick occasionally sees prospective buyers who suggest he visit another prospective buyer, who then invites another prospective buyer. The meat in the story has a lot of fat, but yes, Dottie is really incredible. Next on the list, we have Pickman's model. Whatever your opinion of Crispin Glover, he will unquestionably use the opportunity to perform with an accent. Pickman's model, another Lovecraft adaptation, is set in early 20th century New England, much like Dreams in the Witch House. The most terrifying Boston patois you've ever heard is Glover's response, "Park the car in the Harvard yard." Despite jokes about Glover's accent, the issue at hand is not actually with him. The aggravating absence of ambiguity in Pickman's model is the problem. The principal character, William Thurber's rapid spiral into lunacy, is a major reason why the episode works. The conclusion, however, indulges in sheer gory schlock, although cool schlock. Coming in 5th place is The Murmuring. When originally watched, The Murmuring would have probably been the choice for either number 7 or 8. However, after some thought, we've grown to enjoy the tone it chose to adopt in contrast to the earlier, more explosive Cabinet of Curiosities volumes. A married couple of ornithologists travel to a lonely island to research the murmur. murmurs, the patterns of flocking birds, in The Murmuring, which is nothing if not gently paced, as the two leads, Essie Davis and Andrew Lincoln, both excel, and this Jennifer Kent-directed hour would have been one of Cabinet's best outings if it had been better able to capture some frights. It's a commendable and fascinating failure as it stands. Fourth on the list is Graveyard Rats. The phrase graveyard rats has a certain grace to it. This episode, which is based on a short story by Henry Kuttner, promises rats and graveyards, and it delivers both, with a straightforward plot and even more straightforward execution. This is a lean, nasty horror machine. It doesn't take much setup until Mason is battling off armies of highly clever rats down below where he belongs. The really ghastly concluding scene of this episode of Cabinet of Curiosities is unquestionably the finest in the entire series, even though many of the dark episode endings eventually grow tiresome. Now we're getting into the top 3 episodes of Cabinet of Curiosities. In third place, we have The Outside. Given that it's one of the few Cabinet of Curiosities films to acknowledge complicated social influences and motivations as a component of its terror goal, it's certainly safe to say that The Outside is the most political of all the Cabinet of Curiosities. But it wouldn't be fair to suggest that the Anna Lily Amirpour helm sequel is any less frightening or didactic than the others as a result. In this role, Kate Micucci shines as Stacy, a woman who faces what she perceives to be an uncomfortable truth. Everyone merely wants to be attractive. She works on realizing her fantasies of being attractive with the assistance of the sleazy Aloe Glow Man on her screen. The episode, The Outside, has many twists and turns, yet they all work remarkably well. The conclusion shot is particularly mysterious and makes the audience wonder if there even is such a thing as a happy ending. The runner-up on this list is The Viewing. How far can a strong vibe carry a strong but constrained story? The answer is far, very far, if The Viewing is any indicator. This parable was written by Aaron Stewart-On and Panos Cosmatos, who also directs it. In it, a shadowy billionaire, played by RoboCop Peter Weller, asks some of the most fascinating and learned individuals he can locate for their opinions on a peculiar object he has purchased. Naturally, the thing produces unspeakable horrors. However, none of that matters particularly to The Viewing. The atmosphere is crucial. Oh my, the feeling is so beautiful. By honing a suspenseful house aesthetic that was first created in the 2018 thriller Mandy, Cosmatos creates an infernal synthesis of sound, light, and color that utterly mesmerizes the senses. The subject of The Viewing may have actually been the viewing itself, if you ignore the Lynchian alien head MacGuffin at its core. The best episode of Cabinets of Curiosities is The Autopsy. The horror story The Autopsy contains pretty much everything you could possibly want. Two elderly people working together to solve a mystery, a chatty cosmic menace, and a ton of decaying corpses. The Autopsy, which was written by David S. Goyer, was based on a short story by Michael Shea, and it was also directed by David Pryor. Dr. Carl Winters, a character in F. Murray Abraham's novel, is unmistakably Stephen King-like in that he's a practical man who proves to be surprisingly capable of overcoming real evil. Although Guillermo del Toro's makeup, prosthetic, and visual effects teams create beautiful creatures in the rest of the Cabinet of Curiosities, their work here, transforming human bodies into collections of organs to be examined and operated on, is unparalleled. This is the best journey in the anthology from start to finish, with a satisfyingly bittersweet climax. Do you agree with the rankings of the episodes of the Cabinet of Curiosities? If not, what positions do you think should have been different? Also, what other series do you want us to feature? Let us know through the comment section. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.